All right, are we live? Looks to be the case. So just as people come in, just got a bit of the Freeride World Tour on display. That was a pretty sweet competition to watch this week. And basically this week, I just wanted to follow up with catching up from the last stream. There was a couple of dropouts, so I want to follow up with a question and answer that, and then move on to a couple more that I got after the stream had ended. Yeah, so let me know what's new. I will be answering questions going in the chat as well, so let's get this one underway. So the first one we had, which dropped out last time, was from Cole Happy, and he was looking to replace his Raptor, his head Raptor race boots, for a more, I don't have the text here, but a stiff but comfortable, hard charging all mountain boot. So if we go to Head's website and can see the point with what he's looking for here. When you see the line from the Raptor and then you want to go more to their sort of on-piste hard charging boots, you're really only given the option of the Vector or the Nexo Light. Now the Nexo Light, in comparison to the Raptor, you're probably going to crush it because it's more of a really lightweight boot. And the Vector fit-wise probably doesn't hit the same mark. So to follow up with Cole Happy, boots that I'm going to suggest that you take a look at, if you can't wait for next year with the new Head formula, which essentially is the Raptor in an on-piste, bit more comfortable, maybe a little bit warmer option. So that could be a great option if you're waiting till next year. But the other boots I'm going to suggest, the first one is going to be the Dahu DS 130. Let me just bring up a picture of that so you can see. And the reason I'm suggesting the DS, basically it's going to have a similar fit lengthwise to that Raptor. You're going to have that similar shape through the toe. So it's one, you know, it's stepping it down, of course. But with that 130 flex, it should still be solid enough. And it could be a great option. You get grip walk. You do get Intuition foam, Ultralon foam, sorry, over the tongue of this one. So could be a good option. From there also, we could suggest the Nautica Pro Machine. Of course, I don't share the screen. There's the DS Solo 130. Next one we could look at, fast charging, good solid boot from Nautica, the Pro Machine. I've gone over this one a few times. It just has that solid, almost Doberman race boot feel, but really good option with the Cork liner and a bit warmer. The other ones I'd suggest you could probably look at would be the K2 Recon. The Recon Pro, being a 140 flex, is going to give you that nice burly feel. Let's bring that up quickly. That is the Recon Pro. 98 last, solid feeling, you know, another great option that could be thrown in the mix. And then one more would be solid, always a great option from Technica with the Mark 1 LV. And again, very customizable, solid feeling. It's based, you know, in that same sort of realm of a nice step down, bit more manageable for comfort, and still a solid, burly feeling, great all mountain charging boot. So that's basically it, summing it up for you there. I hope there's some good options for you to check out. The next thing we will move on to is a question from Mike Hoffman. If you're checking in, actually, let's just see. I'll check the comments here. NATV, pew, 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 and Andimon 2010. Recon is baller. Love my 130s. Nice. Good boot choice. And yeah, can be a good one in that realm. The next question from Mikey Hoffman was talking about the benefits of going into a boot with a 45-degree angled buckle. So what he's referring to, sorry, let me just bring up a couple options here. Go to a Dahu boot. You can look at the full tilt boot. Basically a Cabro design boot with a 45-degree angle cable buckle. And what the benefit of this is compared to a standard overlap boot with just your two buckles on the cuff. Now, basically what you're looking at is a construction difference. So with this 45-degree angled buckle, it's all about heel retention. And with that design of the tongue going over the top of the boot, the closure system's different. So you really need to get that strap over the top to really get that extra grab at the instep. So really locking in your heel. I can grab. Because I wasn't prepared, I can get one up on screen here and share screen, but I'm pretty slow at that. But basically what we're referring to is this buckle here with the tongue going over the top. So benefit of it is with this Cabrio design, it just helps get the security you need. There's no benefit versus the overlap in getting good security. That second buckle down on a regular cuff is where you focus all of your attention to locking that in. Where was I going? I'm sorry, I'm losing my trail of thought here. But with that, interesting point, it was a boot design standpoint that I actually played around with a few years ago, and I did start a patent on almost like a hybrid of the two, where you'd have a 45-degree buckle sitting in under the top of a regular cuff, and it actually has no restriction then. You could really tighten it in the whole way, which would suit a variety of foot volumes. So that was an expensive operation, so to speak. I've gone through the process there, got it started, but, without the capability of manufacturing a design of this nature, it sort of leaves it in the dust until that becomes a possibility. So yeah, bit of an interesting thing to follow up on there. But yeah, what have we got? What type? Oh, that's you guys chatting together. The next question I just wanted to run over was with last week, Rito Bowman. I'm an avid skier and I started skiing more off-piste. With some nice pow, everything feels fine. But when skiing through a lot of crud and messed up pow, I'm under the impression that my feet are being moved in my boots. Now, is this normal? And you sometimes have the feeling of some huge bumps, change in snow. It's almost going to strip you off your boots. What is the feeling of good fitting boots when skiing off-piste? So yeah, basically what you're feeling there is you've got more demands on your feet as you're going through this varied terrain. Obviously you stay nice and balanced and even when you're on groomed, on-piste trails. You can really just tip the boot over, stay in balance and get a nice carve. But yeah, going through this chopped up snow, through some bumps, you've got more demands on your feet. So that all comes down to boot fit and sort of where things are manageable for you. So number one, you're going to do your buckles up a bit tighter to get a better lock. If you're not skiing with a footbed, absolutely 100% need to get a footbed under your feet. It's just going to take a lot of that extra spacious feeling away. Also, you could look at the sizing of your boots. Maybe there is a little bit of extra space. You could look to manage to tighten everything in and really get some better security when you are skiing off-piste. So yeah, a few things to think of there. Buckle pressure, fit, and also skiing technique. It can't be understated. Staying balanced and improving your skills through this chunky snow will also play a big part. So yeah, thanks for that. So what do we got? Heel retention is nuts on the Cabrio thingy on the Dahu Bello Il Moro. I finally skied them, so nice for a lot of freestyle moves, no doubt. We got John S. Feet get wet during skiing and cold toes on colder days from the wet. Are socks too thick or warm? Yeah, it could be sweat. Definitely if you're skiing in thick socks, change that immediately. Thin socks are warmer, as much as that sounds counterintuitive. The thick socks will compress blood flow. They'll cause your feet to sweat more, which causes your feet to get cold. So the thinner you can go, and I'd recommend highly a merino wool or a wool blend because it's going to keep your feet dry. That is huge on keeping your feet warm. As far as wet, if it's not from sweat, it's also snow getting in. So have a look at the dam on the front of the overlap of your boots. You'll see a lot of racers, ski instructors putting duct tape over it to keep the water out. Shouldn't, depending on your boot, actually, shouldn't hopefully need to do that. A good seal with a bit of buckle pressure should close up that rubber dam on the front and stop the water getting in. But yeah, dry feet are happy and warm feet. So the better you can sort of manage that moisture, the better off you'll be. So yeah, basically just going to reach it out to you guys this week. I don't have a lot prepared. I've been working on my house and getting that renovation done. So yeah, next stream I'll probably prepare a bit of a presentation. It's also the reason I had a video in line this week to release, but after the edit was finished, I actually don't like it and feel like I could explain things a little bit better. So I've actually started to re-film that video, which will come out this week, if not next. Speaking of wet boots, boots tend to get sweaty, been plus 10 degrees Celsius in the shade and slush hot spring skiing, and boots are not often dry to the next day. Do the USB cheapo dryers work? Good question. I've got no opinion on the USB dryers. I haven't tried them myself. I always make sure to take my liners completely out of an evening and get the liners to dry out completely, take your footbeds out. Yeah, I have the luxury of having boot dryers in the shop. So, if I need to, I throw the liners on them. Also, you can put things inside your liners, such as newspapers or things to absorb the moisture. That can work well. But yeah, definitely want to get them as dry as possible. Springtime, that's when you're going to get wet feet, slushy snow, warmer temps, and they can start to stink. So you want to take care of your liners. Definitely dry them out. Don't put them too close to a heat source. You don't want to muck them up. You don't want them to soften up too much. Or change the mold that you have on them, but just get them nearby. Good question here, NATV. Thoughts on heel stabilizer on footbeds? I am a big fan on heel stabilization on footbeds. Whenever making customs, I think it's pretty much mandatory. If you're actually going to create something that's going to work and give you the ability to alter the posting that you're doing. There's a few different types of heel stabilization. There's even just little sort of like frames that can sit on the back of the heel. I'm not a big fan of the small ones because I don't feel it does as good a job. I see people using them. I also see people that make footbeds without any stabilization. Purpose-wise, that's probably more geared to, without stabilization, you better be pretty dialed in and tight with your boots as far as getting that fit real precise. Maybe a lot of racers would look to do a footbed of that nature, but it leaves a lot to be desired, especially when you're looking to, feel and stabilize a foot for good general all-purpose skiing. And it's really a balance, in between getting a very good lock and also having the subtlety, the feel through your feet when you're doing some sort of high-performance skiing. You know, you don't want to restrict your feet. It's a subject I'm going into in the next video, so I hope that'll be enlightening and we can discuss it further. But in order to make a good custom footbed, I'm a big believer in heel stabilization and also getting that stabilization ground really neutral. So you actually get good performance from the footbed, and it actually does its purpose of supporting the foot correctly. Without it, you know, your footbed can move. It can sort of be a bit loosey-goosey in the back, and it's a bit of a cop-out if you're not doing it properly, to be honest. We've got Stanley Evans. I'm a bigger guy, 275 pounds, 6'2". I use a 120 flex Technica. Do you know when the flex is too strong, too weak? Well, I highly doubt that the 120 is going to be too weak for you. You should be able to bend that boot, no worries. Basically, with flex, you're looking at it from a point of view of if the boot is too soft, you're going to be crushing it. You're not going to be feeling a good response through your skis. You know, you're going to feel, you know, like the boot is lacking, like you're crushing it too hard. You're getting too far forwards. You're over the front of your skis and your legs are working super hard. In the opposite, if the boot is too stiff, you're going to be sort of skiing back seat. You're going to be fighting against it. You're going to be on the tails of your skis and out of control. So finding that balance, there's a few tests you can do inside in the shop. You know, you can sort of see how you're flexing. Are your knees getting over your toes? How the boot feels. But also you need to see how this also is once you're out on snow in the colder temperatures. Temperature plays a big part on how the boot plastic will react. So yeah, at 6'2", 275, I wouldn't recommend anything under 120, 130 for yourself. Simply from a perspective of needing that for, you know, having that, what's the word I'm searching for? Just having good stability of the boot, you know. Oh, here's the follow-up. I feel I go in the back seat too often. It's definitely technique, but I always want a perspective from someone more experienced. Yeah, that could be technique, but don't be scared to play around with it. If you're in the Technica, you may be able to run them a little bit softer and see if you like the feel of that a little bit better. Also play around with the spoiler just to get your stance angles where you want them to be to sort of feel more comfortable. But yeah, you're definitely in the right range there, man. What do we got here? Yeah, another comment from Pew Pew Pew. I can tell you, you will not find anything too stiff at your height weight for regular consumer stuff. And I 100% agree with that. Mike Hoffman, I didn't miss it. Oh, good to see you, Mikey. Thanks for joining me. And I hope you've had a good weekend if you got out on snow. And best footbeds ever. Love to hear that. Thanks, man. Enjoy. Heated boot bags, great option for drying the boot and liner. So yeah, heated boot bags you can get, which even will plug into your 12-volt adapter in the car. Great way to warm your boots up before you get started. And also, yeah, good option to be drying out your gear. If you don't have, you know, a heater with a low setting, a fireplace you can set them away from, or getting them outside in the sun. If none of that is going to work for you, heated boot bag, good option. Geolic, best solutions to people with narrow heels. I'm in the Hawks Ultra Extended 130. Well, that boot's already pretty good for grab in the heel. Great low volume, low heel space for that boot. So if you're feeling still spacious in there, two things you need to look at. Are you secure enough from a height perspective at your instep? Do you feel like you're coming up and forwards, or do you feel like it's side to side lateral movement with your heels? Solutions, liner sleeve, if you want to check them out that I'm making, they work awesome. In that case that you're in such a narrow volume boot, that could be an absolute game changer for you. Also, you're looking at ways to wrap your ankles. J-bars, C-pads, butterfly wraps, you know, are all options in that regard. eliminator tongue if you do have too much space over the instep, or a volume reducer under your liner. They're all the ways to get better heel grab. And yeah, liner sleeve is probably the best one. Should you use a spoiler if you have thinner calves, or does it increase forward lean? So it is for both purposes, really. It's for number one's forward lean. You're getting a couple extra degrees by getting a spoiler in the back. So it's playing with stance angles, but it is also fine tuning for the calf height. You can raise or lower the spoiler if you want to sort of take up some of that volume. It's a really good approach to that as well. So you can use them for either purpose. The number one reason I'm usually using spoilers is for forward lean. Thoughts on grip walk soles? Yep, big fan. I like them, and I think we're not too far away from everything just being in line from gear perspective on soles. As it sort of filters through with bindings, everything, you know, MNC and grip walk compatible. Grip walk only helps regular boots be easier to walk in. If you're not in a race boot, I see no reason why you shouldn't have grip walk soles. And now most touring boots are going to that as well. So yeah, it's expanding. There's more than ever, and I think they're great. So grip walk soles are a win in my opinion. And yeah, hopefully we just keep seeing more and more of it, and that will become the new standard sole. Overlap versus three-piece in performance. Does it come down to personal preference, or is there a performance benefit when choosing one for the other? On an overall standing, like, yeah, you know, and you can see that the three-piece has always been that factor of freeride freestyle skiing because it is so good on the impact rebound of the tongue. So having that, so yeah, versus traditional overlap boots, which are, you know, more precise in their fit. You know, it's your more traditional style boot. That's probably a stupid statement. It's not your more traditional style. Basically, they're performing in two different ways. So choosing one for the other, you can do anything in any boot, but it's really just what's working best for you. Now, you see most, you know, park kids want to get in full tilt, want to get in the Il Moro, you know, a Cabrio design. And, you know, your more performance carving race are going to be in your standard overlap design. Bit of tradition with that, but it's also, you know, fit, purpose, what function the boot brands are building these boots for. So, yeah, it's such a big, complex, you know, topic to speak on, but you could view it in that regard of, you know, yeah, I'm going to move on from there. I'll come back to that. Like, there is some little performance differences. Generally, you can get a bit more performance from a overlap boot, but it's all purpose driven. I have Jansrud toe on right foot pinky. I usually have them block the shell, but sometimes it's a bit hit and miss. Anything I could check when they do it or to help describe it to them? So you're getting them to punch the shell. So I'm just looking up. Yeah, you're gonna have to give me a little more info or feedback there. Basically, if you're punching for the toe, you just want to make sure you have adequate space. And it may be a good idea to do a little bit of a grind for it, or even some liner manipulation if you don't want it to go too far out. If they're punching it too far, then, you know, you're not going to have a good feel with that. Yeah, pinky toes, if they're curving out, if they're a bit funky, if you've got growths on them, just create the space needed. Best way that you can check yourself on positioning or for size is to get the liners out, do a shell check on them, and have a look at the space or the contour that's on the inside, and just relate that also to your liner and see what's going on. Yeah, the best thing is, do you have faith in the work that they're doing for you, and how does it feel once you're skiing in the boot? Thoughts on the best insole boot heaters? Looking to maybe pick up a pair when I head out west next week. I'm away from insole boot heaters. I don't particularly like them because of how they interfere with the boot fit and the footbed fit. So I highly recommend, if you need to go heated socks. I think it's the better solution. You've still got the element running down. You've still got the cable and wires you've got to deal with, but there's less chance of your batteries getting hit, especially from lifts coming around and swinging, hitting the back of your boot. Cables break all the time. Dealt with them for years. I'm not a big fan of the insole heaters anymore. So highly recommend heated socks, and I really like the lens model. Bill Ganger, bought head edge light 130, 29.5 after your review. Boot fitter in Colorado left me wanting. I am way flat-footed. Can your footbeds be built on? Do they need built on for a flat guy like me? So when it comes to footbeds and building up on them, you can, it's possible to do. You wouldn't be adding a traditional heel stabilizer on my footbeds. If you're doing that and looking to change angles with the heel stabilization and grinding them to suit your feet, that's all going to come down to doing a custom footbed. But it all depends on what you actually need and how mobile your foot is. Foot mobility is a huge deal when it comes to making footbeds and how much arch support you can manage. So that's going to be key in knowing not only are you just flat-footed, but how does your foot respond to quite a bit of arch support, and can you get into more of a neutral position, or do you need something a little more supple? So yeah. Okay, well, I hope you're loving them boots. I really like the Edge Light, and yeah, hope that's working out well for you, man. Boot binding delta is an argument against grip walk. That is a good point. Expand on that and we can discuss it further. Had to throw out the overlap 3-piece LOL. Have to sign off. Talk soon. All right. Catch you later, Mikey. Not sure if they punch or block. Just say it hurts there. Fair enough. No worries. Well, I hope it's sorted out anyway. And yeah, that is the solution. Basically, knuckle to right foot pinky is right around, large sticking out versus the rest of the foot. Like with any, protrusions of your feet, you just have to fit the ski boot as if it wasn't there and just target that specific area. So it's the 100% complete right approach. Just make sure that, it's not excessive and it's not affecting how the rest of the boot fits. I've seen people grind out some material in the hard, soft sole between the boot and the liner. Why would you do this versus not? So if we're talking about grinding boot boards, two main reasons. If you're grinding it away, generally you're looking to get less ramp angle and get the stance to a better position. Also, if you've got contact at the instep, if you're losing feeling from over the top of the foot, you can gain a little more height by dropping that boot board lower. And it's also a stance angle issue. So you can grind the whole back of it off. You could also grind just one edge or side. There's a few techniques that you can use with grinding. You could cant the whole sole of the boot board if you wanted, as long as that's feasible in your boot. That's not possible in every boot. It's also not possible to grind every boot board. So it's very specific on what boots you have and what you're looking to achieve. But it is either a stance issue or it's looking to gain space over the top of the foot. I have the Lens 6.0. They are stupid thin, honestly thinner than my most favorite socks. I haven't seen the 6.0 yet. Only had the 5.0 for the heated socks with Lens, but yeah, they were good and should have some 6.0s coming in the next couple of months. So if you rate them, that is good to hear, and I'm looking forward to checking them out. Boots in the boot room or not? That's going to depend. Is your boot room in a lodge? Is it in is it in the ski instructor's locker room, or is it in the house, or is it just a heated area? So maybe is the best answer. If you've had any boot work, custom boot work done, I would say no, or I'd say just leave your liners in the boot room. If there's nothing that you've had to alter from a punch perspective or anything like that, absolutely no problems. It's going to be a good way to get them dry of an evening and a good way to store them and not have the smell all through the house or hotel room. Thoughts on the full tilt Descendant Evolution shell? And I just want to give you a shout out, mate. When I switched to Patriot, all the foot pain I associated with skiing just went away. Well, that's the best feedback I could ask for. Thank you so much. Awesome to hear. The Descendant and Evolution shell, awesome. Love it. It's a good wide fitting option from Full Tilt. If you want a 3-piece boot that is a little bit broader with the 102 last, it's a winner. Combine that with an Intuition, it can be just a good combination. Also the Ascendant with the Sammy Carlson or the touring model, great boot. Love it. Yeah, speaking of wider fitting touring boots, you could also look at like the Hoji if you wanted to stick with that wider fitting design. Any opinion on the new Dahu? Interesting idea. Seems the comfort would be a solid buying factor. The new Dahu, or at least the one I saw last year, I think the market they're trying to hit is the wealthy Aspen soccer mums, so to speak. It was very furry. You know, it's like the Apex as far as like an inner soft boot surrounded by a plastic exoskeleton. You know, I skied it. It was okay. It was good. But it looks like where they were traditionally maybe looking to have a bit more of an all-round boot, they steered it more towards, maybe they saw that's who their market was, who was buying them. And it was pretty blingy and furry and pretty sleek Italian leather looking. So that's where they are now. They may change things up. They may go more mass market or general skier. But I don't feel the performance is at a level comparable. And yeah, what they're trying to achieve with it, it's got good potential in some areas, but yeah, that's where I think they're pushing their marketing and progress at the current time. First time I've heard of a heated sock, we'll look into them. Yeah, I just think it's a better solution than having the heaters and batteries on the outside of your boot. Okay, back to the grip walk. Delta is worse on grip walk pivot versus pivot. They change the pedestal for grip walk, but they don't touch the heel. Yeah, good point. You've got that height to deal with. Marker grip walk are also higher off the skis. All super valid points. And yeah, basically, and that all comes down to the combination that you're going with and what function that your bindings that you're looking to have. And do you accommodate that by altering the angles in your boot if you have a specific binding delta that you prefer to ski with? But yeah, flattening it, lowering it, I see the disadvantages in that as well. But the benefits of being so much easier to walk in for most people is going to outweigh what you like the feeling of, especially with performance and binding delta. So compromise, or can you attack it in another way? I think there's possibilities there. But yeah, very interesting conversation. Shells that can be heated like Salomon or traditional boots that you punch grind like Lang, pros, cons. Yeah, basically ease of fit, you know, having to rely on someone very technical and experienced to adjust your boots versus, you know, just the kid in the shop being able to heat them up or even be able to do it at home. That's obviously a benefit of having heat moldable shells. And the main difference you'll see there of, you know, it's thickness of plastic. Like the PU is generally moldable regardless, but it's going to be wall thickness, which will determine how easily a boot can be molded. Also, you know, the compounds in the plastic, the makeup of them, how easily or quickly it can be heat molded. But yeah, it's not, that's a gray area. It's not black and white there, because you can still get some moldability on the boots that aren't technically moldable. Edgelight is an amazing boot. I'm a heavy guy, aggressive skier. Some hiking to the steep stuff, fast groomers. Heads have been more than I'd hoped for. Very stable, easy to turn, comfy. Absolutely perfect. I ski in the Salomon S-Max 120. They fit really good, but sometimes my feet feel numb. Should I heat mold them? Will I lose some flex with heat molding? No, you won't lose flex with heat molding. Definitely, and this is the thing, like most people think because I've done the tutorial on how to do it and I recommend it, I don't suggest doing it unless you have to. Like definitely start with just molding the liners, because that just helps with the break-in period. You're not fighting against them as much, unless you love how they fit off the shelf and then just go ski in them. But it's just helping that first couple of days. Most people are very gung-ho and just want to get in and heat mold the boots straight away. Unless there's something that's definite pressure point straight away, or if from a visual fit perspective, it looks like you're going to need to, or dimensionally, it looks like you're going to need to do the heat mold. Why not keep your fit a little bit closer and just go skiing them, breaking the liners. And then if you're still getting severe pressure points, or if you like that, your feet are going numb or you've got some issue, you can then do it later. So it's all about fit-wise perspective straight away when you're picking up the boot on whether you should heat mold, especially for the custom shell process right away. Those skis behind you are freaky. Yeah, these skis, my favorite skis from back in the day, the Hellbents. They are just awesome. I've stopped skiing on them. I've gone to the Ben Chetlers as my power ski, and I'll probably pick up something new this year. But these were my favorite for so long. Nice and wide underfoot, 132. They are just absolute stompers. You can jump off anything and you just feel like you're landing on a platform. So these skis are sick. Heaps of rocker in them. Only downfall is they are heavy as a ton of bricks. If you're boot packing anywhere, you got to get them on your shoulder. Absolutely horrible experience. It feels like you're carrying an extra person up the hill with you. So I don't recommend that, but the graphics are sick. And yeah, love the Hellbents. Oh no, am I dropping out here? Damn it. Am I back on? Sorry, I think my camera just gave out. Please tell me if everything's still going okay. That's gone upside down. 1 second, guys, I'll fix the camera. All right, we're back the right way up. What the hell happened there? Cool. I've practiced walking drunk on slippery alpine soles. Nice. So you're well versed in walking on terrible conditions. That is awesome. Okay. I should expand. Can boot rooms remold liners? I've heard this and wondered if it was a myth. The Perisher instructor's boot room is hot though. Could you explain more about how it could affect mods? Yeah, so basically it can affect your liners. Again, it all just comes down to what boots you're using. If you've customized a boot and you've molded it, you've used heat to reshape it. Now, especially plastics have a memory. So adding heat back to this molded shape can actually force these alterations to retract. And it won't go the whole way, but it will reduce the size of them. And then you're either needing to do it again or you're back in the boot room trying to make some alterations. Liners aren't so bad, less likely to react as far, but it definitely can happen. So yeah, if they're cranking the heat in the Perisher boot and Perisher instructor's boot room, there's no doubt. Yeah, I don't know, take them home with you if you want to control it a little bit better. Yeah, or maybe depending on what modifications you've had to your liner, it may not be as big a problem. I've seen a lot of races with the head Raptor. How do they all fit in a narrow boot? What is done to make them fit? Yeah, well, you know, there's only so many types of race boots out there. So you'll see a lot of Lang RS. You'll see a lot of Nordica Doberman. You know, you will see a lot of head Raptor. And that's all, you know, because they're looking for a high performance boot. So a race boot of this nature, they're narrow fitting. The way they're customized is generally by grinding. Some will get a little bit of punching work done as well, but it's a very closeness of fit you're looking to retain. You don't want excess space in a race boot. So you're altering the internal shape of the boot, even though they're all starting from that same initial shape. So it's the same concepts as everyone else's boots, but it's just done with removing less material. Generally, people who are in boots like this all day, every day, are skiing at this level, want a tighter fit. So they're used to having their feet compressed. And so they are looking for that sensation of having that locked in feeling. And then it's just reducing pressure in certain areas. So it is getting different feet to fit the same boot. And that's the approach and how possible it is to do. Massive custom work plus pain plus force. Race stuff is race stuff. Only wear it buckled short periods. Yep. And so, yeah, you're going to wear it buckled, locked in, you know, when you're skiing hard, you know, and you can even adjust buckle pressure. So you can ski also in these boots completely with them backed off, or you'll see people who are technical skiers that will ski with their boots undone. You know, and it's all about staying on balance and making adjustments in that regard. And you're a pretty skilled skier if you can ski with your buckles undone. You're back on upside down. Yeah, I have no idea what happened there. That was ridiculous. Upside down, upside down. Am I still upside down? Am I the right way up? I'm seeing the right way up. And yes, I am in down under, so I am the wrong way up. But since we live on a flat earth, maybe I'm the right way up. What boot am I skiing in right now and why? What customization have you done to them? In several different boots right now, Bill. Park boot are the full tilt Seths. They're a few years old now, but I've just loved them. I run them with liner sleeves, dual straps, and made an alteration to remove the lower cable. For my touring boots, I'm in Salomon S-Lab MTNs. Not much on them, just liner sleeves as well. Intuition liners, I swapped into those actually. And yeah, I've got a few new boots coming for this year, so I can't wait to set them up, and I'll run through them as they come in and what I'll do to them. New to skiing, 4 years in, 20 days each season. I may be stepping in shit here. Pivot ski bindings versus marker is a real serious debate. I feel like I started a fight yesterday. Yep, there's a lot of opinion when it comes to all sorts of gear, and I have my own opinions as well. But what was your argument? The pivot bindings, they're more of a favorite, again, with the park skiers, having that turntable heel. I've actually found them to be really good, from a safety factor when you are taking big impacts or landing sideways. When you want them to release, they do. But they also have a really good ability to hold you in when you don't want to pop. The turntable heel, keeping that heel in place. Also, when you're not, you don't want to pre-release, especially when you're coming off at a funny angle on a landing. So that goes for freeride or park skiing. So that's where I think the pivots excel. As far as solidity of heel piece, when you look at something like the marker, looking at the Jester or something like that, the spring on them is super solid. So it's a factor of they're going to hold you in with a little bit more force, but they're also going to release in a different manner. So you've also got Tyrolia bindings you can look at. You've got Salomon bindings. It's not just between those two. Each have their own unique functions and features. So just go for what you like. You can test a few things out and see what matches your skiing. But I recommend whatever's required in your DIN range, and what you feel will be the nicest setup. Pivots for the win. They are pretty sweet. Oh, so we are having the marker versus pivot argument. Pivots are 99% of the time a pain versus a Jester. Adjustability is shit. Yeah, that's the downside. You are just on the threads of either side of the pivot. So getting the forward pressure correct on the binding is a pain in the ass. You're not able to adjust between boots very quickly if you've got two boots, or if you want your friend to jump in your skis. That is a huge downside. There's pluses and negatives to both. So yeah, it just depends on what setup you have, what you want them to do, what skiing you're doing day to day, on what bindings you should go for. With ultra thin socks, I start to feel too much wiggle room vertically in the boot. Do you add a pad to the top of the liner or crank the boot down more? Definitely start with buckle pressure. And I don't like to add pads to the top of a liner. I like to increase the height from the bottom. It generally will lift you higher in the heel pocket, and then it'll take the space nicer across the top of your foot. It'll keep things more even without putting a direct pressure down. You'd have to get pretty creative in padding the top of the foot. So definitely start with buckle pressure as your first approach to that. What is the sickest trick or jump you've done in the park or otherwise? Well, I'm getting too old. So these days I'm pretty stoked on just doing some simple stuff. A straight air feels fun for me now. But I was at 900s back in the day, which is absolutely terrible compared to skiers now. And yeah, love rodeos. Still throw them every now and again. But yeah, was going for doubles at a stage, but I'm not good enough for that. Way too old for that now. So I'm more of a general all mountain skier, shall we say, these days. When will the world wake up to the cast touring binding system? Well, people who know. As will they become mainstream? It's yet to see. That's on their marketing. Yeah. Had a mate when I was last in the States who had the cast system and absolutely loved it. It definitely gives you some options. We will see how they go, how they progress. I'm interested to see, has anyone run the new marker Duke PT binding this year? We've got that arriving for our winter. I'm probably going to pick up a set to test that. I don't like the idea of the toe piece coming off, but yeah, other than that, you've got that really solid marker heel, which will give good confidence. So I'm looking forward to actually testing that out. If anyone's got them themselves, I'd love to hear how you like them. Cast is pretty damn cool. It's a bit niche. Rumor is Rozzy might do something, but like Duke PT is also pretty nice. I've cast on all pivot skis. Nice. Cast is sold out for 2021. Doing something right, no doubt. They need to up their production. You have the new Duke PT 16. So what do you think? Feels like a Mercedes G-Wagon. Nice. Yeah. Do you find them light enough on your setup? And how is the heel height for when you're touring up something steep? They're the main things I want to know. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting a pair. And do you tour them just toe piece pivoted up on the hinge, or do you take them right off? A good joke to show our age. I'm washed. Some young kids in Utah, when they drop in, they said, let's get it. Meanwhile, our group, Kevin, don't forget you have a family. Nice. It's solid and 60 mil adjustability. Unreal. And what ski have you been using them on? So that's me pretty much going through everything so far in the comments. So keep them coming. Nearly at an hour. So we'll see how long I go today. I'm willing to hang out as long as you guys want to be on here. Yeah, I can keep talking, I guess. So I remove for longer. I keep it short from the lift, and that's fair enough. You don't have the higher heel riser. It's basically like touring on a shift, yeah. So that Duke PT was basically built to compete with the shift, so I'm not surprised that it's in that similar realm. So we're looking at basically a kingpin toe piece or alpinist when the toe upper is removed. Cool. Can you ski without the toe piece? Can you ski with it like a kingpin? And how does that feel? Can you lock it out? Have them on binding freedom. So I switched to multiple skis. You have got the options going. That is sick. Any recommendations for a wide touring boot? Currently skiing on the Scott Cosmos 3, but it feels outdated. Yeah, I guess it's a question there of how wide do you need your boots to be? You've got the new Scott Free Guide Carbon. Could be a nice option if you want to stick with the Scott. But I really recommend the Dynafit Hojies. You've got some 103 lasted options there, and they are seriously nice and light. You can even get a PU version of it now if you're looking for solidity. That and, excuse me, damn kombucha. The Full Tilt Ascendant, nice 102 last. Could be a pretty good option as a wide fit. What else could we look at? You could go the Salomon Shift boot, which is 100 last, which molds out pretty easily. That felt pretty spacious and has a pretty soft liner, so that could also work pretty well. Would be my first suggestions for you to check out. It's like a kingpin with no heel lock. So if you're good at cross-country skiing, yes, sure. I'm not good at cross-country skiing. How many boots is too many? 8. There's no such thing as too many boots, but you know, it's good to get one that can do everything for you. I personally like to have options. So I'm going to run 3 pairs of boots this year. And yeah, we'll see if I can quell that habit. Now that the base lodge is our car, are touring boots more popular for the long walk from the parking lot to the bar? Would you ever advise a touring boot to someone that doesn't tour? Yes, but it doesn't necessarily need to be a touring boot. As I've stated, that yeah, most all mountain boots are following the touring construction. So you're going to thinner shell walls, lighter weight, walk mode, and grip walk soles. So essentially, you know, all those features have the ability to go touring, but they also are all advantageous for just skiing the resort. So definitely, if you're looking for a boot that is that capable, 100%, there's so many options these days in that regard. And yeah, I hope it's nice and luxurious in your lodge in the base area or car park. How's the season been? Is everyone sort of hanging out, cooking barbecues in the car parks over there? Or, yeah, what's the vibe been like? It's what we had last season here too. They didn't want anyone really in the lodge. So it was kind of weird to walk inside and go get food, and you look around and there's just nobody inside. Weird vibe in ghost town ski resorts like that. And yeah, I often would just ski the morning, then bail. I'm not going to go take sandwiches up in the car or whatever. Like, I don't know. It's just, it was different. But I hope you got good vibes. It'd be really cool if there was sort of more of a party atmosphere. And I hope resorts have like put bands in the car park or something like that and just make it a bit more fun. Yeah, pretty crazy. In my honest opinion, big no. Even like the extended 130 is nowhere near a regular 130 boot for performance. Walking on alpine boots is just something you learn. Yeah, and like we've done it for years, you know, just because, you know, there is new gripwork soles, doesn't mean you have to have them. You learn how to stay balanced, especially on alpine soles on icy car parks. So, and yeah, again, yes, 130 in, you know, these hybrid boot constructions are not regular performance 130s. So you got to keep that in mind. And again, it's all comes down to what you're doing. If you're skiing technically, if you're skiing high performance, keep running with your performance boots. Booster straps, can't live with them, can't live without them. What can't you live with them for? Interesting statement. But yeah, some people love their boosters. I have Salomon X120 Pros and have custom insoles. I'm getting heel spurs. What do you recommend? I recommend that you grind a pocket for them in the back of the heel. Have you done a heat mold on them? Number one. Now, the heel pocket doesn't mold very well, so grinding a pocket is usually the best answer. If you don't have that ability to see a boot fitter who can quickly sort that out for you, the other thing you could do is a foam donut on the back of your liner. You want to mark out where this spur is developing. If it's really red and inflamed, and if it's starting to grow, you should sort it out. The only way it will heal itself is time out of ski boots. So if you need to spend a lot of time in ski boots, or if you want to make the most of the rest of the season, I highly recommend getting it sorted out. So yeah, it's either by adding foam to displace pressure and taking it off the heel spur, or it's grinding a pocket in the plastic shell for it to sit into and get the pressure off. It can also be a case of your heel is lifting and impacting the top of the heel pocket. So making sure you have enough security, you're locked in tight enough. So you could also look at the space that you have in the boot and sorting that out as well. So that's your three approaches, but definitely don't leave it to get bad, because I've seen some gnarly feet with that problem, and yeah, it doesn't create much fun. Long lift lines to go up, but less crowded trails going down. Yeah. A lot of any sort of people who have been posting YouTube videos or vlogs of their skiing I've been watching, and lift lines have actually looked horrendous. So yeah, is that just, I guess that all comes down to because people don't want to hang out in their car, and they're not going inside to grab hot chocolates or anything like that. So people are skiing. It sucks that they can't make the lines move a bit quicker. Always have chairs and beers in my car for après. Perfect. But seeing the bars nearly empty is just sad. It's time to get back to living again. I'm 100% with you on that, Bill. You know, it's time. Everyone knows how things should be managed. no matter your opinion on, where this current situation is at with the virus, I think it's more than enough time to people who are scared can do their own thing and go hide in their car. But people who are healthy should not have to, sacrifice their lives like this. It's absolutely crazy over here. Like, lockdown's still going on through summer with like one case that they're reporting. Like, shit's just mental. And New Zealand's just gone into full lockdown again across the whole country. Or no, it might just be Auckland. But, what's going on? It's different topic. We shouldn't delve on that subject because everyone else talks about it, and I'm sick of it, to be honest. +1 for booster straps should be mandatory for every boot purchase. I would disagree with you on that, and you should look at the true straps, because the one benefit I have over boosters, and here's my beef and why a lot of people are convinced that the elastic of the booster is something that you need to have, or it's advantageous. And my argument against that is you're not getting extra springiness above your cuff. So although it's tightening in and fitting better at the top of your cuff, having the springiness is still allowing you to have voids in the fit, which is where, and I'm not just shitting on one and promoting my own, but taking all that space away and having the cuff flex, bulge and rebound properly is something that I think takes the win over the booster. So if you get a chance, check them out. Of course, I need to promote my own design. But yeah, that's where personally, even when I ski them myself, I get the better feel out of the boots. I did a heat meld and got them grinded and punched out, and you're still having that problem. Right. Number one, get some foam on that liner. Mark out where your heel sits in the heel pocket, and you want to cut a little donut from some EVA foam, and you want to displace that pressure. And you also sounds like you should really approach that fit. Like if there is extra space, it's coming from a rubbing or a lifting. So, yeah. Sorry, who's that? Oh, yeah, here we go. Following up. I appreciate the advice. Do you think it could be the liners? It definitely could be the liners. It could also be a seam, or it could be the inbuilt foam inside the liner in the back. If it's the stitching, yeah, 100%. You've got to approach that stitching. I've seen that before as well. Don't cut the stitching out, but definitely try and manipulate the foam in that area. A little bit of heat from a hairdryer, heat gun, soften it up, manipulate it with a golf ball or a broom handle, something of that nature. Try release that pressure. If you are creative, you could maybe do something with the stitching, but you don't want your liners to fall apart. So maybe also possibly look to replace that liner to get that away, because I know that is just a horrible problem to have. Yeah, why don't they put booster type straps on all boots? The stupid Velcro power straps are garbage. Cost, number one. Also, it's an upgrade. So if you're looking to upgrade your boots, it's an option there. And I saw more and more boots, especially in these last 2 seasons, having not booster, so to speak, but having power straps with a cam buckle. So cinching them up, locking them in place in a much better fashion and a lot tighter than what a Velcro strap can do. Hi, I get a hot spot on the ball of my right boot. After a couple of hours skiing, I live in Far East Russia with no boot fitters available. Atomic Hawks 100. Okay, first thing, you need to check the width of the boot. I suggest looking at my shell fitting videos. Ensure that the fit is going to be adequate and you've got enough space there. The next thing is going to be a pretty repetitive answer, but footbeds. You need to get your foot supported. And the other thing is going to be stance angles. If you can play around with that Atomic Hawks on your forward lean angle. So playing around with that to release pressure. If you're putting too much weight on the ball of your foot, it could be adding strain. But yeah, often that is going to be a nerve issue from being too far compressed. So with no boot fitters available, you can do the heat molding process to that boot and custom shell a bit more width out of it. But often the case is just get your foot supported, get a good footbed, and that should likely solve the problem. We'll have to try your straps this Southern Hemisphere season. Awesome, Ben. Yeah, check them out. They're awesome. And what is your local mountain? Are you here in Perisher, or you're a bit more south or over the pond from me? Intuition liners. Sweet. Did you want me to comment on them, or we're just stating how much you like them? I'm also a big fan of Intuition liners. When will you ship stuff again internationally? I'm doing it by request. Probably the biggest problem I've had over the last couple of months has just been I ship out the parcel and it's just taking so long. So once I send something out, it's out of my hands. And I wish I could do something more than the same as you guys. Is all I can see is the tracking number and watching where it is, and hopefully it gets through customs quick. But there's less flights going overseas. There's less people working in customs. So especially when shipping to Europe, UK, Russia, Japan hasn't been too bad for getting through on time. It's taking a couple of weeks. And I know this is longer than what people want to wait. And I'm the same. Like when I can ship through the States, through Canada, I can get it there a lot quicker because not waiting on these other outside factors. And I don't like people to be upset. I don't want people waiting for gear. I look like the bad guy. And I don't want that to happen. I want you guys stoked. I want you to get it as quick as possible and be skiing in it. That's the reason why I've had to stop the international shipping. It was just getting out of control, and I had to refund too much money, and then stuff was getting lost as well. So it was just unfeasible, unsustainable. So if you contact me directly and you can understand that there may be a couple of weeks wait, I have no problems in shipping gear overseas, and I'm more than happy to. So if there's something that you need or want, please just email me, sales@patriotfootbeds.com, and we can discuss it through there, and I can get it sorted out for you. What's your opinion on Intuition versus Zip Fit if someone wants to get a more custom liner? I've tried foam injected liner a few times, and the last thing being Surefit, and they've all sucked. Surefoot. Yep, it's really going to depend with Surefoot who is boot fitting you, and whether you respond well to an injection liner. That's the two key factors. You have to remain very still. You have to have someone who's very attentive and who's very experienced to get a good result with an injection liner. So your feet also need to be compatible with an injection liner. Some people just can't manage it. It's not the solution to all. I know a lot of guys working in Surefoot will tell you it's the only way to fit everyone. I don't agree with that. But it definitely works for a lot of people. But if you want to get that same sensation, go with a Zip Fit over an Intuition. If you really want to get that good lock, because you have the ability to customize the amount of cork material, it is a bit more dynamic, and the cork material will move. But you have the ability to add more if you want more security. So that's going to be the closest thing that's to that injection liner. And for filling in voids, if you're doing it for a specific reason, it can be hugely helpful. I personally like Intuition for warmth and comfort. That's the factors that take the cake with the Intuition. And the Zip Fit is the ability. There's a few things I don't like as much with it, but they are very well built. And if they suit the shell sizing, and they also, if you're looking for that purpose of getting that extra lock, then the Zip Fit is quite good in that regard. Bob, again, Intuition liners, those liners are the best and fix many of the stated issues. Yeah, 100% agree with that. If you're having liner problems, a lot of stock liners replaced with an intuition is a game changer. So definitely is the case for blood flow issues. Prominent growths and intuition can sort that out without having to do any punching work. It can save a lot of customization that you'd normally be trying to do to fix a boot. Sometimes you can just throw an intuition liner in and you are at 100%. So, but it's not for everyone. Again, if you are, in a more solid, close-fitting boot, you might hate the intuition. It feels sloppy, feels loose. So, yeah, for solving certain problems, they're amazing. You can get race models, you can get touring models, you can get different thicknesses with them. So also you want to match the right type of liner to your boot. I'll reach out then on Patient Dude. No worries if it takes time. Thanks, man. Where are you located? It might not be too bad. It's certain countries have just been ridiculous. There is a lot of Europe that still is getting through pretty quick. I know I've sent parcels recently to Italy, Norway, and Finland, and they've been actually quite reasonable. So it definitely depends on where you are. Surefoot, to quote my friend, the most I've paid for. Yeah, also known as Surefoot, but man, I'm not going to shit on them. They do a great job for a lot of people too, and they definitely have their place. So, Surefoot have actually saved a lot of people's skiing lives. So, like anything, there's no one solution for everyone. 2022 Atomic will do injection. Could that help my pinky toe knuckle problem? I don't think so, because it's only filling in the injection material in the back of the liner. So it's not going to help with anything up front. The rest of the liner, I believe, is mimic foam. You've just got to get very specific on your pinky toe and target it directly, no matter what boot or liner you use. What makes your footbeds different? Trim to fit, you can warm up, usually adequate, or should you go straight to custom orthotic type bed? So big question. Again, this is something that I go into more detail in my next video series, which I hope explains it well. But there is not one solution for everyone. Now, there's a couple of reasons why nearly every boot fitter will tell you to go for a full custom. The reason for that is you can be creative with them. You can do a lot with a full custom. Also, the fact that it adds a good amount of money. When you're selling a boot, it's a good upsell. It's a good margin getter. So it increases the sale of the boot. Also, it looks impressive and helps with the whole cohesiveness and it helps with you being involved in someone's boot fit. It shows that you care. It shows you're paying attention. It shows you're making a boot fit directly for that person. So there's a little bit more of the theater aspect to it along with that. When you look at trim to fits, what sets mine apart is how they're built. You can see the last video I made called Why Patriot Footbeds, and it's all about the frame that's built into them. A lot of other trim to fits are simply flat soled, a little bit of medial arch support, hard materials. Mine's a bit more of a dynamic build. It actually has some flexibility to it, but it's built solid. So it's a balance between the two. It's allowing your foot to naturally move and do what it needs to do without completely shutting out your ankle joint or plantar fascia. So the benefits of that is you have the ability to keep the really good feel and sensitivity in your feet, but you also get support, which gives you that really good response in your boots and also absorbs shock. So best way to explain that there, you can achieve the same thing with a custom insole, and I'm going to show how that's done. Also going to show how a foot is altered with a custom footbed. So stay tuned. That's my next series of videos. I've been working on it for a long time, and I want it to be of a really high standard. So, I've refilmed the last one because I wasn't too happy with my explanations, and I want it to be really informative. So I hope you can just be patient, and I hope it's a step up from the videos I've made in the past. It's funny looking back at my past videos and seeing how much I dislike them and how much I want to improve on them. Why does Nautica use Cork in their liners? Is it easier to work with or warmer material? It's actually just a better material for heel retention. There is good thermal properties with cork, so there is that benefit also. But they're combining it with Thinsulate. No, Primaloft. They're putting Primaloft in their liners for extra warmth. But yeah, it's all about good fit around the ankles. And also there is some good warmth there, but it's generally not the spot you target when looking for warmth specifically. Norway, that's right. Yeah, no worries. Man, we'll try. It'll be a good test. I don't think they'll take too long to get to Norway. So, yeah, let me know. See how we go. I've always got, okay. Surefoot was replaced with Patriot footbeds, but you didn't hear it from me. This is not financial advice. Norway, beautiful country, jealous of you. Awesome. Okay, so here we go. Oh, my dog is going crazy. Could you go into setting up boot spoilers, how they affect skiing, forward pressure, etc.? Sure. So setting them up depends if your boot comes with them already. So spoilers can be added by either some of them come screwed to the back of the cuff, and that's an adjustability sometimes with height, or you can get them that attach directly to your liner with Velcro. So it depends on your current boot and liner setup. I am a big fan, if you're looking to add a spoiler, try and find the Lang World Cup foam spoilers. They are probably the best. They really stay in place well. They probably have a good 2 to 3 degrees of added extra forward lean. You can really adjust them quickly. And probably the best material, you'll see other spoilers made from rubber or plastic. And how they affect, they're basically keeping you in a more aggressive stance. So being in a more aggressive stance keeps you more over the front of your boots. It's a feeling that I tend to like, especially for getting quick edge response. You're really able to power into your boot a bit faster by getting more forward. You'll basically the other option, like we said earlier, you can fine tune calf height with them also. But the main thing is getting that more forward lean. And that is the general purpose. And yeah, it's all about getting a more aggressive forward stance with your legs on your toes, skiing harder, if that's what you want. Beautiful women in Norway, no doubt. Good Viking blood. Thanks for all the videos, super informative. Thank you for watching. I'm just super grateful you guys actually enjoy the videos, like this as a subject. I'm not sure why I'm so obsessed with ski boots. It is probably some sort of mental illness, but it's something I love and interests me to no end. And yeah, I'm just glad people actually tune in and watch me talk on here for hours on end. And I hope that you actually get something out of the videos and they've helped you fine tune or at least change what you're doing with your boots. Day to day, good management is probably the number one key thing. But also I really want to help people find the boot that works and find ways that they can quickly make them fit better. Feedback this year, especially, with accessibility to boot fitting is becoming a bit harder. So yeah, there's definitely things you can do yourself if it's not overly technical. And even if it is, if you're keen on doing it, I also want to inspire people to have more knowledge and get more tuned into what they're doing. I've head boots with plastic spoilers attached to the shells. So yeah, and sometimes they're not able to be altered at all. Removed or on are sometimes the only two settings. So again, it all is what you are dealing with. Is plus more aggressive and upright less? So essentially, yes. And I think I referred to it earlier, or maybe I answered someone else's question with having upright stance of boots and why, say, for example, the Nordica was upright at 12 degrees whereas when they were looking at the atomics and they had adjustability 13 to 17, and why that's the case. And a couple of years ago, a lot of the boot manufacturers went to sort of, 11, 12, 13, even as far back as 10 degrees in the, mentality that would aid you in skiing on wider skis. So just being more upright, for having more ski width underfoot, helping you drive the ski in that regard. But yeah, generally it's a bit of a consensus that the more forward you can get and the more aggressive you have with your forward lean stance, the better performance you'll get, in my opinion. Sure, for my $750 Surefoot liners, I was able to salvage the Surefoot spoilers for my stock Speed Machine liners. At least they made a nice spoiler. Well, that is the Ferrari of spoilers. I hope they're still working well, and crikey. Let us know next time you're in the Seattle Pacific Northwest and I'll buy you a beer. I cannot wait to get back over there, especially, in the Pacific Northwest. Hope you guys have had a good season, and I will take you up on that beer for sure. Let's just see when that can happen. Next year, if everything's settled down, I'm back on the next flight in January, and I'll probably try stay for a month or two, tripping around the whole West. Maybe a little bit longer because I do have to ski the East, and I've got people I need to see over there. So I'm going to do the Patriot road trip. So you can count on that. I will take you up on that beer, and let's hope the snow is pretty good. With all these grip walk bitings, we're going to need some spoilers. Fair enough. Same beer rounds on you for Colorado. Definitely will be in Colorado, so that is awesome. Take care. All the best to your family and the business. Thanks heaps, Stanley. Thanks for checking in and contributing to the live stream today. Really appreciate it. First time hearing about spoilers. Sounds like it does make it a bit harder to hit rails and do freestyle. Not necessarily. Again, depends on how upright you are skiing rails. I know that probably is a really good point. The downside with my skiing is because I like a 17-degree plus stance, I'm always bent over a little bit, hunched back when I'm skiing rails. So it made my switch ups not as easy to flip between. And so that is a pretty valid point. Generally, when you're spinning off a jump, you're spinning tucked. Spinning off a rail, you're almost more penciled. So that's probably what held me back a lot. And I should test that. I haven't really tested it. I've just always had that feel that I've wanted in the park. So pretty valid point, actually. Yeah, probably is a little bit harder with rail skiing. All right. We're at an hour 23. I will try and push to 1 hour 30 if anyone else wants to throw something out at me. And if also let me know if you've skied this weekend, what it was like, where you were. Check out how good freestyle guys land switch. Not very upright, same for regular landings. Yeah, definitely with jumps. I agree with that, but I don't disregard the point of being more upright for rail skiing. Cool. This live stream has gotten pretty good technically versus your first 2-3 first attempts. Yeah, it's only improved. I still am not good at the screen sharing. I'd like to be able to bring up the second screen and we can talk through some images a little bit better. But it's just a bit cumbersome with this program that I'm trying to use. I think I've just got to practice that a little bit more. And I keep forgetting to switch on the share screen when I'm talking about something. So, yeah, I'm probably lacking in that regard a little bit, but I hope to improve that. And I just jumped on a bit quick this week. I'm going to prepare something a whole lot better. So give me some topics for next week and we can dive in a little more depth in the stream. And that's going to be really handy to go through some more technicality. I ski 5 to 6 days a week. Lucky bugger. Great stream again. Thank you, Jay. Very much appreciated. In Vale, great month of snow here. Heading into March Madness, more on the way. Awesome. Yeah, spring in Colorado can hit super hard. So, yeah, pretty jealous of you being there in Vale. Such an awesome place. I just hope that keeps on pumping for you there. I have full tilt dropkick 2021 ski boots and the front of my calf starts hurting really bad. Sometimes what can I do to fix that? The front of your calf. Like, do you mean the front of your shin? If it's shin bang, you need to approach that with a volume. So you need to take out extra space in front of your shin. You also need to wear thin socks and you need to do your strap up nice and tight. So that's the first approach. I've done a whole video if you want to check it out on shin bang, if that's what you're feeling. Yeah, that's all I can take from front of calf. Possibly that's what you're referring to. There's definitely a few approaches you can fix there to sort that out for you. Heading to Deer Valley next week. No snowboarders. Awesome. Stowe has been good in Vermont. Great conditions by Northeast. That's good to hear. If you come by and look at Copenhagen in Denmark, awesome. I would love to check that out. I was just saying in the last stream that, yeah, Europe's high on my list. I've never thought of Denmark as a skiing destination, but yeah, I would not write that off. I'd love to go through and check that out. And does Denmark have hills? Look, I can't hate. My mountains are pretty much hills on certain areas too. So, man, any skiing is good skiing. Take what you've got. Thoughts on some of the foot scanner apps? Yeah, again, everyone's jumping the gun on me here. That is part of my next video, so I do delve into that. So check that out. It's going to be all about foot analysis. So I hope that's going to be really good. I do talk about the scanning apps. Some are better than others, and I haven't tried all of them. We will look at that for sure. Yes, shin bang, that's what I meant. Thanks for the help. Yep, no worries. So definitely start with tightening up your boots, a long way, power strap, and buckles at the top. You should be good for a liner in regards to shin bang, so you've got to also look at footbed. And yeah, there's a few things you'll be able to fix. Socks are a big deal as well. Would spoilers make a big difference if your boots are relatively soft, say 100-ish and approximately 105 kilos? Not really, no. Different purpose. Yeah. Maybe, like, I know it's hard to get into another boot, but yeah, your weight and height, I'd probably be recommending a stiffer boot if you can get into that. I know it's a bit of an investment, but yeah, definitely, you know, if you're going to stay in that realm and if your skiing's improving and you want to push it a bit further, then definitely jump into about a 120, 130. Yeah, completely agreed. And it's not a stance argument on that. That's purely, you know, you're going to be able to push too much pressure through the flex of that boot. It's just too soft. All right, down to the last minute. It's 1:29. I'm going to cut it off at 1:30. Thanks heaps for tuning in this week. I want to get that new video out this week. So I'm shooting for that. I will jump on another live stream. Any ideas or comments or things that we should take a closer look at, please throw it out. Either in the comments that I'll come back to later, if you can't think of anything right now. And I think that'll be a good exercise for next weekend. One more what? Atomic has lighter race 130 Alpine boots, but why? You mean the club sport? I like softer boots, and thanks. Yeah, thanks heaps. Yeah, so the purpose of the club sport, it's just a softer Redster. It's a bit more consumer race. So again, a little more forgiving, a little bit more fit friendly. And yeah, just having that race heritage in a boot that's more accessible. Again, it's just for high performance skiing as a general all mountain option. I think it's more marketing than function or purpose, but I see how they just need that true versus the Hawks Ultra, just something to throw out against it, which has a few different features and different feel. My 2015, 2016 are like 2.3 kilos. The new ones are like 1900. I'm very skeptical to changing boots. So you're still in boots that are 6 years old. How have you changed liners? How are they feeling? And yeah, have you got replaceable soles to keep them going? Hey man, love the videos. What boot setup do you suggest for super high arch? Currently running Panteras. Yeah, Pantera is good for high arch. How wide is your foot? You could also look at Mark 1 HV. You could also look at K2 BFC. You could look at Dynafit Hoji if you want that touring capability. You could look at yeah, I mean, and Pantera is a pretty good option as well. So a few things to consider with that question and what you want them to do. 6 pairs of boots. Yeah, but what are your 6-year-old ones? Cool. Yeah. So probably going to cut it there, guys. Thanks again. Always having fun with these streams. 2015, 16s were carryovers, really. I started skiing them for the 2019 season, yeah. So set a pair aside for the future. Not a bad tactic. Hawk Prime was 130, no worries. Adapt Edge 2015, and they are comfy as. All right, guys. Signing out. Stay rad. Thanks again. Catch you next week.